Alright, decision rules. Suppose you own a business and the business can randomly occur in several states. Suppose you have state 1, state 2, ... up to state K. Now, these are random possible states. In other words, your business can either be in one of these states and you're not certain as to what state your business would be on a particular day or a particular month or a particular year. But you have to be prepared from a business standpoint to address a particular state. So what we do is we choose an action from a set of actions. Suppose you have A1, A2, up to AN. This would be my set of actions. So the objective is to choose a particular action for a given state. A state that you're not certain about, a state that you know it's going to happen with some probability, but we don't know what that probability is, but we're going to choose an appropriate action. In practice, however, when you don't know exactly what the probability is, we assume that they are equally likely, that all states would happen with the same probability. But if you know the probability with which a particular state could occur, then we can make use of a probability distribution to help us make the right action. So it sounds quite simple, but it requires some thought in making the decision of choosing a particular action to address a state. Why? Because choosing an action for any given scenario, so for a given scenario, a chosen action could result in, let's say, an excellent reward. I'll call it as excellent reward, or an average reward. That's possibility 1. Possibility 2 is you have the worst loss, or an average lost, or loss, not lost. So if you take the first case, for instance, given the choice between an excellent reward or an average reward, a business person would want to go for the excellent reward. Likewise, given the choice between the worst loss possible and an average loss, we'd actually go for an average loss. We don't want to make the worst loss possible, because if you keep making the wrong decision that results in the worst loss possible, eventually you run out of money and eventually you shut down your business and you can't feed yourself and you actually die. So to avoid these, what we do is we kind of observe our scenario, which is our business, and we ask ourselves a question: what is the result of a state? So to be more precise, we could say result of a state when choosing an appropriate action. So when you address a state with an appropriate action, two things could happen. You either get a reward or you get a loss. which is what we call a cost. The reward is called benefit. The cost is nothing but loss. So if you are a business owner, you would like to maximize your rewards. And if it's a loss that you're looking at in your scenario, then you'd like to minimize the loss. So once again, it might seem quite straightforward. You just have to maximize your reward and minimize your reward. Now, this is simple if all states happen with certainty. For instance, you have a business and you know for sure every day you have customers, let's say about 10 customers who definitely show up, and you have your business open only for those 10 customers, and with every one of those 10 customers you make a profit of $5, which means every day you get a $50 profit. But if you don't know the number of customers that come and go in your business, then you actually do not know how to respond. You actually do not know how to maximize the profit of your business. So in such circumstances, we will have to use a decision rule to make the right decision. And by making the right decision, you choose the appropriate action which will address the state. At the same time, it would cause a benefit to your business, or it would minimize the loss involved in your business. So the process or the formulation used to choose an action is called a decision rule. There are several possible ways with which we can make a decision, and we will talk about all of those in these videos. So the types of decision rules that are available are as follows. We have a max-min strategy, we have a maxi-max strategy, we have a mini-max strategy, the last one would be the expected value strategy. Strategies are nothing but rules. So you have the maxi-min rule, the maxi-max rule, the minimax rule, and expected value rule. Needless to say, no matter which rule you choose, you have to know your state, you have to know your actions. And using these states and actions and based upon the scenario, we would actually define something called as the reward function or the cost function. So in simple terms, you choose a decision rule, and basing or using the decision rule that you choose, you apply that decision rule to either a reward function or a cost function, and using the rule and this function you choose an action, and the chosen action would respond to a state. So that is sort of the flow that is involved in a decision-making process. So you actually know the reward and cost function beforehand for your scenario. It's either reward or cost function, and you know the set of states, you know the set of actions, and you know the strategy that you want to choose. And by choosing the appropriate rule, we respond to a particular state. There are a lot of examples with which this could be done. We will talk about each of these rules in some of the other videos.